Today I am joined by our special guest on News Review, veteran politician Omar Amadou Jallow, Honorable Omar Amadou Jallow, otherwise known as OJ Jallow. Welcome to the Fatunetwork, Honorable.
Thank you very much once again for you people to take all your time and energy to come to my home to interview me. I'm very much appreciative, and I thank you very much for the contribution that the Fatunetwork is doing in the need of awareness and educating the Gambian public and the Gambian people in what is happening around, both politically, socially, and culturally. And I think every Gambian needs to appreciate what the Fatunetwork is doing. So thank you very much, all of you.
A veteran politician, you're welcome, served as the youngest MP and of course the youngest minister in the First Republic. Not only that, you also served as the Minister of Agriculture in Barrow's administration. Yes. Honorable, you seem to have disappeared all of a sudden and no one sees you nowhere near politics. And then we know you were out of the country and you just recently returned from a long trip. How does it feel to be back?
Yes, I didn't disappear. I had a responsibility also to go and see my family. I have spent most of my time as a Gambian in politics. And then now I have retired from active politics and I have handed over the reign of leadership of the PPP, which I headed since 2001, when the Decree 89 was lifted. And the Central Committee of the party decided to once again appoint Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara as the party leader and Secretary General. But at that time, Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara was in England, and when we wrote to him, he wrote back and proposed to the Central Committee and Executive Committee of the party that as long as the party has again been registered, he is advising them and proposing to them that they appoint me as interim party leader and Secretary General, as he was not in this country, and the Central Committee and the Executive Committee agreed. And so I became the Secretary General and party leader. And that is why throughout those campaigns, throughout those times, I was arrested on many occasions because I make statements and I make interviews with so many of the newspapers and radios, and to maintain and strengthen and promote the legacy of Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara and the PPP. So I thought that, as you said, if I can become MP at the age of 29 and parliamentary secretary at the age of 29, and then a minister at the age of 33, and then for 14 years under Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, and then another 1.5 years under President Adama Barrow, I think it's a high time for me to hand over to the younger generation. And then I become an advisor to that leadership. And that's what I'm doing now. So fortunately, I traveled, I went on holidays to my family in London and Birmingham. But when I came, I'm sure a lot of people have seen me day before yesterday.
Yes, Honorable. And before we just get into that, okay, let's pump it right there. You played a very instrumental role in the 2016 elections during the formation of the coalition. From there, you served as the Minister of Agriculture until the time of your firing.
That's right.
You didn't say much when you were fired.
That's right.
But the tone has changed, and then you took a break from politics. And then out of nowhere, we saw you reappear again. And I remember interviewing you when you were fired by President Adama Barrow. And I asked, if he calls you again to go and work for him, will you? And then you said, no. You had no reason to go back to work for President Adama Barrow.
Right.
But now you stand at a rally and call on Gambians to support the man.
That's right.
For someone who you wouldn't work for.
That's right.
Why?
Because every human being has to have ethics and respect for yourself and defend your legacy because you have a family. I was part and parcel of the coalition, and I was one of the few with Halifa Sallah and I think one or two other people who are now leaders my auntie Fatoumata Tambajang and others, who have never missed one meeting of coalition, the executive or coalition 2016. And I was not in the coalition because I was looking forward to being appointed a minister. I was in the coalition to fight tyranny and dictatorship in Gambia, to see that Gambia is free from tyranny and from dictatorship, and not from being appointed a minister. When I was being born in Yundum, in Old Yundum, in the mud house, my father never thought that I'll be a minister. And if that powers were in my mother's hand and my father's hands, I'll never be a minister because I'm the seventh child. There are 3 elder children and 3 elder sisters and 3 elder sons, brothers of mine. But God says I'll be the minister. So I said, there come a time when you should be contented. That is why when I was removed from cabinet, the same day with Fatoumata Tambajang, Honorable Fatoumata Tambajang, who was the chair of the coalition, and my aunt, and D.A. Jao, and Henry Gomez, and Mrs. Cicelo. I think we are all removed the same day, but nobody had any of us say anything against Barrow. Because for me, I was not in the government because I want to be a minister. I said, if he wants to appoint me again as a minister, I will not accept it. But doesn't mean I'm not in the coalition, because the coalition is more important than OJ being a minister.
Honorable, a lot of people say that coalition doesn't exist anymore.
Well, the coalition doesn't exist anymore, but the coalition is what brought about change in this country. And that coalition, part of it is still existing because up to now, Adama Barrow is having the support of the PPP because James Furmus Gomez is a PPP. Ahmad Bah is NRP. Henry Gomez, advisor, GPDP. Lami Diba of Environment is NCP. Dr. Aissatou Touré, independent. He was part of the coalition. He's the vice president. And of course, Buba Aisane, who is the deputy ambassador in South Africa, was part of the executive of the coalition. And Muhammadu, the MP of Basse, is still supporting the coalition, Adama Barrow. So what I'm saying is that the coalition had a problem because when Ousainou Darboe was released from prison by the president, he made sure, he said, I was in for 3 years. He said, anybody, even the president, if he promotes 3 years, what the coalition agreed, he was going to take us all to court because a gentleman agreement, the Constitution has precedent over a gentleman's agreement. And the coalition agreement was a gentleman agreement, and that he was going to make sure Adama Barrow stays for 5 years. When we had an executive committee meeting, I proposed that as Adama Barrow was going for 3 years, we should also make sure the parliamentary elections and the council elections at that time should be through the coalitions. But the UDP say no to it, refused it.
So you were in for the 3 years from the onset,
from the onset,
agreed by all parties in the coalition.
Yes, but all the other parties also make sure they agree to the 5 years, particularly when we had that executive meeting. And then the president was president, and the UDP leadership, under Ousainou Darboe, said we should vote for those who are supporting for the coalition to go as a coalition through the parliamentary election and the council elections. Most of them voted yes, except I voted no, and then PDOIS Halifa Sallah abstained. So the majority voted for the 5 years, and then they also agreed to the tactical alliances which the UDP was proposing. That's why I held an election, a rally at Ladrekunda, at the Big Three, and said, for me, for the interest of Gambia and the peace for Gambia and development Gambia, if they have told me today that if I deregister the party, it will be for the interest of peace for the Gambia, I'll deregister the PPP, because for me, Gambia is far more important than the PPP.
So where does your position stand regarding this whole 3 years Jotna, 5 years Jotto debacle?
Now, because the majority, I always believe in democracy. That is why even in the First Republic, when Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara wanted to resign in our Mansa Konko in 1991 at our Congress, I was the only one who supported his resignation, both at the Congress and the Executive Committee. And I had a lot of people that insulted me, told me a lot of things. But when we went to the Executive Committee, out of about 48 people, only I was the only one. I said, well, the majority carries the vote. So I agree to what the majority says, because I'm a Democrat. Why should I try to impose what I believe on people? Then I'm not a Democrat. That is why I'm still supporting Adama Barrow. The majority of the parties supported us to contest, for him to continue for the 5 years. That is why he's there for the 5 years. Unfortunately for me, in 2018, we had our Congress, and I said, well, it's time for me to leave as leader of the PPP and hand over to a younger generation. And that executive sat and approved that they were going to continue being an alliance with President Adama Barrow, and then to serve under him until the next election. Then we'll see what they are going to do to arrange and see what type of coalition or alliance will take place between the NPP and the PPP.
You took a break and then you came back, and then all of a sudden people say this is like a new romance that is brewing between the PPP and President Adama Barrow's National People's Party. And word is very strong that there could be a coalition between the two parties.
I will prefer a coalition between the PPP and the NPP than any other party. For me, I'm too frank and honest to what I say. Because I've seen that what we fought for peace, stability, respect for human rights, and rule of law, we have it now in Gambia. For people insulting the president, insulting the president's mother and father, saying things against him, nobody would have dared to do that during the time of Yahya Jammeh. He would have been in prison. And of course, his development projects, he's trying. Nobody can convince me that any government can come here and do better than the PPP. It's not possible. Because today, I am a Gambian and you are a Gambian thanks to Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara and the PPP. Because the British thought that Gambia cannot stand alone, and Gambia should be the 7th region of Senegal. That's what the British thought should happen. And some of the parties then agreed with the British, but Sir Dawda refused and said Gambia should be an independent state. So, if anybody is doing anything today in the country called Gambia, thanks to Sir Dawda, thanks to the PPP, and all these development projects, I'm happy that my brother and friend has just arrived, the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources. He's just arrived, he's here. So, I'm telling you that the development projects that Sir Dawda did and PPP in Gambia, nobody has ever done it yet. So that is why the PPP is one party that every Gambian should admire, and every party should pay respect to and allegiance. Because without Sir Dawda and the PPP, you will not be a Gambian I will not be Gambian. Both of us today will be Senegalese.
Yes, but a lot of people say the PPP party is dead, and the only reason it is leaning towards President Barrow's National People's Party is because of survival. How do you respond to that?
That is not true. The PPP has already got our Congress, and everybody has seen our Congress. And we are planning to get another one in February in Brikama Bar. Come and see that one. Please, come and cover it. You will see how we have our constituency committees in each and every constituency. And we are going to mobilize our people, and we'll continue to organize our people. We will never allow what happened in other countries like in Ghana and Senegal. Ghana and Guinea to happen. When the party of one of the most important African leaders, his party faded away, Kwame Nkrumah, and Sekou Touré in Guinea. We Gambians here will not allow that. Sadauda Keba Jawara make Gambia what it is today. And anybody building, you are building on a foundation that has been established and founded by Sadauda and the PPP.
So how do you respond to reports suggesting that there is an internal power struggle within the PPP, particularly when Honorable Tumanjai came out to say that she is ready to take over the leadership of the party, even when Papanjai was leading the party?
PPP, Thank Board, is one of the most democratic parties in the world, in Gambia. The party leadership, no one individual can select yourself. It's the Congress that would select you. When we go to the Congress, we always have elections. Free, fair, transparent, and elections that we invite the IEC to monitor and to observe. So anybody can say anything. But when we go to the Congress, it left to the representatives who have come to the Congress from all the 53 constituencies who will decide who they want to lead this country, the party. And then if they go to elections, those who are interested, anybody they vote in as leader of the party and secretary general will agree to it, because the voice of the people is the voice of God. That's the motto of the party.
So I have to ask you, what do you make of Papanjai's appointment as an ambassador to Nigeria, as a party leader, as someone leading a party? Because a lot of people say, this is not normal. It's okay for you to be appointed as a minister, but as a party leader, you cannot just be appointed as an ambassador. It's like the president is throwing you out, which means he is trying to destroy your party that you are leading. What do you make of his appointment? People
who say that are people who think that one individual person can own a party. The PPP is not like that. We were overthrown by a dictator. But PPP was one of the few parties that for 22 years was opposing Yahya Jammeh openly, and it was only the PPP leadership, people like me, who were going to prison for the PPP. Up to the PPP was re-registered. So the PPP, Sadauda is gone, OJ is gone, Papanjai will go. But now the interim party leader is there, Keba Jallow, at the Congress. They can elect their new party.
Yeah, but a lot of people have an issue with the going of Papa, because they are saying if the president can just pick and choose anyone, if he can choose the party leader and just throw them out of the country as an ambassador, then where does that leave the integrity of the party?
No, that is the personal opinion and decision of Papanjai. He's the one who can make that. We cannot impose on him. We respect his opinion. He's still PPP. But we know that an ambassador cannot be active in party politics. That is why the executive, in my absence, met and selected Keba Jallow, the first mayor of the KMC,
right,
who was chairman of the KMC since 1977 to 1994, as the interim leader. So the party continues. As long as the party is continuing when Jawara was not here, it will continue without OJ, it will continue without Papanjai, it will continue. We want the parties to survive like other parties. Like I always tell people, that why is it that Africa, we personalize politics and polarize politics and make sure we make political leaders into gods? That is a shame. If America, the most developed country in the world, the richest country in the world, can have two parties, and all of those parties are over 200 years old. The first multi-party democratic country in the world, Britain, over 400 years ago, can have only 3 main parties. France, 3 main parties. Germany, 2 main parties. Why is that we Africans, like leaders who want to be glorified, that is why we will always be backward? I think what is important is for you to have ideas, come and join a party, put your ideas together, put your ideas through them, you work on the ideas, improve on the party for the interest of the country and not for the interest of an individual. That is what is lacking in Africa. We in the PPP will do all our best to make sure, even when we are going to answer to God, we'll make sure the party functions correctly and effectively in the hands of our children and other children unborn. We want the PPP to be the parties in America or the parties in England, where those parties have not glorified their leaders, have not made their leaders into gods, that when the leaders die or leave, the parties disappear. That is what we, the leaders of the PPP, are fighting for.
So the president came into power, of course, through the United Democratic Party, but we have since seen a strained relationship between Honorable Ousainou Darboe and his political protege, Adama Barrow. What do you make of their relationship right now?
Well, Adama Barrow was a candidate of the UDP at the convention. Ahmad Ba was the candidate of the NRP. And Dr. Bojang was the candidate of the NCP. And Halifa Sallah was the candidate of the PDOIS. But what we agree as an executive is that anybody who wins, you have to resign from your party. So when he was being elected, he was not UDP. He was an independent candidate, because that's what we agreed. So we selected him. He resigned from the UDP, contested the elections and won. That is why he won. If he had stayed in the UDP, he will never win, because we all know that Ousainou has contested for 4 times in the last 22, and he didn't win. Without that strong cooperation and unity within the other parties, the 7 parties, nobody could have removed Yaya Jammeh. I would just say one statement that my friend Wajuara used to say. He said, if you go to a village and there is only one well, and the well is 40 meters, and you have people with bags to fetch water, and one has 20 meter, the other 10 meter, the other 5 meter, the other 6 meter, and the one with 10 meter says, because I have the longest rope, I will not cooperate with the ones with the shorter ropes. All of you will die, because none of you will drink from the water. But if you come together, irrespective of the size of the party, that's why we remove Adama Barrow. That's why we remove, Yaya Jammeh. Therefore, each and every political party who has participated in the coalition is as important as any other party. There is no bigger party or smaller party. That is why in the convention, each and every party took 70 delegates, irrespective of which party. I want people to know that we all participated equally to remove despotism and dictatorship in this country.
So what are the chances of the UDP winning this year's elections, 2021?
Then for me, I don't see their chances, but politics is politics. But what I'm saying is, we as a PPP, I will never ever betray the advice of Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara. Because when we won, when I resigned from the UN, from East Timor coming here, I went to him in London, and as I said, that was the only time ever I had Sir Dawda. I see Sir Dawda angry with me because I was receiving $5,000 a month. He said, Oye, you are very strong-headed. Why are you going to Gambia, resigning your job? I said, I'm going to fight this dictator. Because if I was heading Serekunda when things were going nice, I have to be there when things are tough. He told me, you are strong-headed, but when you go, don't contest elections. Go and try to make sure you are part of those who will bring all the parties together. Because if you don't come together, you can never remove this dictatorship. When I came, I went to Serif Diba, I rang Sir Dawda and he talked to him. I went to Asan Musa Kamara, I went to everybody. We tried in 1996, we couldn't do it. We tried in 2001, we didn't do it. We tried in 2006, we couldn't do it. We tried in 2011, we couldn't do it. But in 2014, 2016, when we decided to forget about parties, when we decided to forget about people, about our personal interests as leaders, and see Gambia as the most important. Gambia is more important than all the parties and their leaders put together. Where is JC Faye? Where is Pernjai? Where is Jahumpa? Where is Sir Dawda now? Where is Sirif Diba? Where is Sirif Sise? All of them are gone, but Gambia is here. Therefore, any politician, your primary interest should be the interest of the nation before party. The interest of the nation before an individual. That's why the PPP, that is our strong objective and our vision and our mission, that we will continue to do what Sir Dawda taught us. One, work for the interest of this country. Two, eradicate tribalism and religious discrimination in Gambian politics. That's what we're going to stand for, and that's what we're going to do.
Honorable, Gambian politics has definitely evolved within the past 3 years, and I know you stood at the President Meet the People store, and then you talked about the issue of tribal sentiments, which have actually risen recently. What do you have to advise Gambians, party leaders, and just Gambians in general, as someone who has been a career politician?
What I'll advise them is, tribalism brings instability. Religious discrimination brings instability. And instabilities from these new two areas are difficult to quench. We have seen in countries in Africa where people have been killing each other for generations because of tribalism and religious discrimination. During Sir Dawda's tenure, everybody knew that this gentleman sitting here, James Gomez, is a Manjago and a Christian. How many compounds of Manjagos do you have in Banjul? And what is the percentage of Christian population in Banjul? But we made him our mayor up to 1994. Sir Dawda was born in Barajali, bred in Banjul, but he became a member of parliament in Birkama. They never see the area where you are born. Asan Musa Kamara was born in Basse. He was the MP for Kantora. MC Cham was born in Basse. He became the member of Parliament for Tumana. MC Jallo was in Basse. He became the member of parliament for Jimara. BLK Sanyang was born in Buyam. He became member of parliament for Sibano. Numukura Dabo, the father of Usainu Dabo, was born in Same district. But he became a member of parliament for Fuladu. You know, Amankani was born in Jara. He became a member of parliament for Kiang. Ichose Megajane was born in 15 Pasiberan Street, 15 Hagan Street. Sarhule became a member of parliament in Kiang. Ebi Njai, a Wolof, born in Banjul, became a member of parliament for Kombo North. Do you see any Wolof village in Kombo North? Oje Jallo, myself, born in Olyundum, bred in Serekunda, became a member of parliament for Serekunda. PPP has never ever tolerated tribalism, has never tolerated religious discrimination. And that is what we are going to continue as a policy. That is why when I was the party leader, I said anybody whom I have made a statement of tribalism or religious discrimination, you will be dismissed from the party. I'll call on an executive committee so that you'll be dismissed from the party. Gambia is one country, one people, one nation, and we all have one destiny.
Honorable, let's talk about the draft constitution. I know there's been so much, outcry from the public that the draft constitution should have been allowed to pass. What's your position regarding the constitution? My
position, I've made it clear. There were some areas in the draft constitution I will not accept it. Why should anybody be born in Gambia and you are not made a Gambian? When I've seen some of my sisters, my brothers, their wives, going to America, Gambian, have their kids there within 1 month, they come back home in Gambia with an American passport. What is wrong with us Africans? Who among us have not got a grandfather or a father from Senegal, not coming from Senegal or Mali, from Guinea? Me, I'm talking to you today. My mother is Sierra Leonean. My brother who came next to me died in Sierra Leone, the same mother and father with me. He died in Makeni. My father's father came from Senegal, converted a Christian in Banjul, 16 Perseverance, married her and got my father and the elder sister and the younger sister. Why should we Africans not be able to tolerate each other? The second one is the removal of some of the powers of the presidents. Where in Africa do you go and make sure you see a president who cannot appoint a minister? Then what is the use of the president? And so many others. I think really, and I said it when they came to Canifing, the CRC. I told them what I feel about it when they were making their consultation. And they have agreed to put some things in the constitution which were against, which the public, the general public in Gambia were against. So I don't think that is right. I think they should look back into it and make sure they put into the constitution things that are acceptable to the majority of the Gambian people.
Well, we are now at the stage of looking back at the constitution, but it's not taken back to the National Assembly or at grassroots level for the people to look at it again. It seems government have turned to mediation expert, the former president of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, which a lot of people have actually criticized the Barrow government for. What do you think?
I don't know why he was here, but I think if I was around, I will advise that they should only do what Halifa Sallah advised before even setting up the CRC. The 1997 constitution was one of the best in Africa. But Yahya Jammeh, because of his dictatorship tendencies, amended the constitution 53 times. Why can't we not go and make sure the parliament bring back all those amended versions and portions of the constitution and improve on some of the other areas of the constitution? Because when that constitution was first established, it was one of the best in Africa. But because Yahya Jammeh wanted to strengthen his dictatorial tendencies and his personal control over everything, he amended the constitution more than any constitution in Africa. That is why Halifa Sallah at one time said, we should just take back that constitution, go back to parliament, and bring back all those areas which were, and look into all those areas which were amended, and then improve on some of them. we will not have been in this situation today.
You think government could have saved the millions and millions of dollars that they've spent on this draft constitution?
Yeah, one thing I tell you, human beings are never perfect. That is why you can never ever have a perfect organization nor a perfect government. Our imperfections will rear their heads in whatever we do, in whatever we are, whether in government, whether in organization, whether in institutions. So nobody should blame one individual for being what we are today. We are going to make sure, we try to make sure we get the government to make everything possible so that we can have the new constitution before the next elections, and then we make sure we work within ourselves in peace and stability and make sure we get what we want.
Honorable, before I let you go, a comment you made at the Bundung rally, which I want you to actually address. You've said something to the effect of going against President Adama Barrow is going against God.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I meant what I'm saying because I'm a believer. I'm a Muslim. And everybody knows that God's never come down here and face people and do that things for people. But he passes through individuals. That's why in our Quran he said that you can never thank God without thanking people. How many people since 1955 wanted to be president in this country and never be president? How many people in the 22 years of Yahya Jammeh wanted to be president and never be president? How many times did Ahmad Ba contest? How many times did Sidi Jata contest? How many times did Halifa Saleh contest? How many times did Ousainou Darboe contest? But all those years, nobody knew Adama Barrow. Adama Barrow was known within 3 months of the elections, and he became president. So I believe that because of that, and I believe that we came together thanks to God's guidance. And as long as that, we should not allow ourselves to make sure we start fighting each other. Because that's what Sarjo told me and I said it there. But OJ, you people have achieved what you wanted. But please, don't betray each other. If you betray each other, you are not betraying each other. You are betraying the nation and you are betraying God. I beg you, don't be part of any group that will be a betrayal to the cause.
But a lot of people have actually accused the president of betraying the Gambian people. A lot of times we hear politicians say, it is the president himself who betrayed us. He betrayed us because he eventually went against his own words that he's going against the 3 years agreement that he had with the Gambian people.
That's not a fact. That's not true. Me, I'm a factual person. We betrayed this nation. We, the leaders of the opposition parties, betrayed the nation. Adama Barrow has never ever been a member of the executive of the 2016 coalition. He has never attended one meeting. But when we, as parties, refuse to respect our own agreement, particularly the UDP, which said that they were not going to respect the agreement, they were going to contest on their own, because that, if they don't, it will undermine the powers and the integrity of their party. And some of the other parties supported that. Are you going to blame Adama Barrow for that? No. Because if we have agreed of continuing to be in the coalition, into the parliamentary and into the council election, we will still continue to control Adama Barrow. So why should you blame him for damages that are caused by member parties that were part of the coalition? For me, my honesty will not allow me to blame somebody for the mistake that I have made. No. We, the leaders of the other parties, all other parties, are the people who created the problems. We should blame ourselves if there is anything for us to blame, and not Adama Barrow.
And what are the chances of President Adama Barrow winning this year's elections?
It's left to the Gambian people. Everybody is campaigning. If the people of the Gambia decide to vote for him to be president, he continues to be president. If they things and other candidates. Now we have 16 parties. And I think we'll have 16 candidates to contest as president. If they vote for somebody else and that person wins, then we know that is the person that the Gambian people choose. We cannot say about anybody winning till we the bridge and cross it. We have not reached the bridge yet.
Right, we will cross the bridge when we get there. Honorable, what do you have to say to the Gambian people before we go?
Appealing to the Gambian people, particularly the young people, that if you are going to hunt, if you are going hunting and you have a gun, you will not bring you don't have a bullet. You don't bring any meat home. So let every young Gambian, male and female, particularly young people, make sure they register to vote in the next elections. And I'm appealing to them that let none of them vote on the premises of tribe, religion, of area of origin. That is dividing the Gambia. That is why when the Protected People's Party came to choose Sir Dawda as their leader, Sir Dawda told them, I cannot lead a party that is sectional. You talk about the protected, what about Greater Banjul? Then they asked him, then what are we going to do? He said, let us change the name and call it the People's Progressive Party. Because Gambia is one Gambia, one nation, and one destiny. We are the same people. All of us, there is intermarriage between all the tribes. So I will appeal to everybody. There is everybody who has families in the other religions. That please let us avoid political, religious, and tribal discrimination. To be politicians, we should not be enemies. For me, all those who are opposing me in the First Republic are still my best friends. We sit down, we chat, we drink attire together, we do everything together. There was no enmity. Why should we allow politics to divide us? Religion is more powerful and more important. And for me, from childhood, my best friends are Catholics up to today. That's why I'm appealing to all Gambians, particularly young people. Let us see Gambia first before religion. Let us see Gambia first before tribe. Let us see Gambia first before party. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Amadou
Omar
Jallow.
Amadou.
Omar Amadou Jallow.
Amadou is my dad.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Omar Amadou Jallow. Thank you very much.